these things come for free. Somebody's got to pay for them. Some of them have been paid for through efficiency savings, yes, getting rid of unpopular policies, of course, but they've also been paid for through tax. And I'm not going to shy away from the fact that Labour has made some quite difficult decisions about taxation, but what it is doing is it's saying it's not going to let the richest people out of paying tax, to say that a priority should be cutting inheritance tax for the 3,000 richest estates. It said that we're in this together, we have to deal with our economic problems in particular as a community, and that people should work together to deal with this without letting the richest out of paying for it. So, very, very briefly, that's our policies, our values. Sorry, I've been told to be quiet here, and thank you for listening.
But I think we've seen some very interesting things in the reaction of many, many people in this country to the historic first debate we had last week between the three main party leaders. I think we saw from the reaction for what residents in Reading East have been telling me, that people don't want anymore to be hearing the sort of adversarial, stale views that really prove that the more politicians and parties argue, the more they really sound the same. It's also proved to me that I think what people want to see a return to is a return to the basic principle of fairness, a fairer tax system, the first £10,000 that people earn absolutely tax-free, helping many, many people on lower incomes and giving a stimulus to the economy that we really, really need right now.
And my record is one of hard work, approachability, dedication, and also honesty. Hard work reflected in the 10,000 people individually who I've managed to help since 2005, the hundreds of businesses that I've managed to help, and also the charities and community groups that I've also supported. And indeed, a few of my successful campaigns have included the Knives Cost Lives campaign, the investment in Reading Station, and also supporting local small businesses who have struggled more than most in the last couple of years. And I've made myself accessible to my constituents in a number of ways, and ways that still few MPs today do. I hold a weekly surgery, but also, in addition to that, I hold a weekly walking surgery down a different road every Saturday morning. In the summers and in the recesses, I tour shopping centres, and I hold coffee mornings so that anybody who needs to talk to me has that opportunity in an approachable and very friendly way. I can't walk down a street now in this constituency where there isn't a family or an individual that I haven't helped in one way or the other.
How can the system of asylum processing be improved to be swifter and fairer?
I think this is an absolutely essential question, and it's something that I very often, sadly, have experience of when I'm talking to people who've had problems with their applications, where, aspects of it may have gone missing. I've even had, for example, a photograph having been lost on the floor and then picked up by another member of staff, stuck back on again, frankly in a situation which sometimes comes across as slightly shambolic. Now that's not the universal experience of the system, but it's clear to me that some aspects of it are going very badly wrong. And this isn't an issue about whether the rules are strict or lax. It's rather about whether they're being effectively delivered. And it's certainly been my view that I would want to have a very, very clear focus on looking at how the administrative procedures are currently working, because I don't feel at the moment that they're helping people who are trying to apply. As I said, this isn't an issue about strictness or laxness, it's about how much time they have to wait. But I also don't think they're being effective for the taxpayer, because I don't think that that kind of system is necessarily a very efficient one. So it is an issue where I have to say, put my hands up and say, I don't feel that the government has yet got a grip on this, and it is something that they need to deal with.
Gareth.
I think Annalise is absolutely right, and I welcome her honesty. The immigration cases that I have to deal with generally have one very common theme running through them, and that's that the asylum and immigration system in this country is in a state of utter chaos. Incidences of people's documents, photos being lost are quite commonplace. Incidences of answers not being given back to people for many months, equally commonplace. You can talk to many of the agencies who deal with these issues right across this town. They'll tell you the same thing. It's a major failure of top management, and the first thing we would look to do is actually take the responsibility for asylum away from the Home Office entirely. The Home Office, one of the few things I agree with John Reid on was when he said that the Home Office bureaucracy was not fit for purpose. Responsibility for asylum needs to go to a wholly independent agency, which is something that's happened in Canada, and it seems to have been very successful there. It's an area where we need a complete overhaul. We need to also, in order to give those seeking asylum their dignity whilst they are over here and waiting for a decision, we need to do something which should be absolutely logical. We need to allow asylum seekers to work. It would save taxpayers money and would also give people seeking asylum the dignity of being able to earn a living and using the skills that they have. The final thing that we have to do, and again I've come across this in Reading, in particular with the Zimbabwean community, is we need to end the deportations of refugees to countries where people face persecution, torture, imprisonment or worse. And we need to end the detention of people for whom that removal isn't possible or imminent, unless there's a significant risk of absconding.
Rob. Well, I would say that quite a bit of my caseload is dealing with asylum and immigration issues, and I think it's quite dangerous actually to conflate the two, because actually I would disagree with Annalise. But I think in recent years there's much more of a grip has been taken on particularly the asylum issue. It has got better. There's still a lot of work to be done, but it's better, certainly better than it was 4 or 5 years ago when I became a Member of Parliament. It's really now much more, in terms of the system, it's really much more an economic migrant issue, in the sense that there are many people who are, in a sense, playing the system. Of course, I'm not denying that there are very genuine cases, and there are cases that many of which I help, and we manage to get them indefinite leave to remain and so forth. But there are many who do play the system long and hard. And the system is not treating them fairly, in a sense also, because it takes so long to get any decisions. The system is very bureaucratic, it's very under-resourced as well, despite the extra resources that have gone into it in the last couple of years. It is still massively understaffed, and it seems to me that what happens quite often is that people will go to organisations like yours, and then there will be a sort of then they will go on to another organiser, and then they will end up at their MP after 2 or 3 years when they still haven't got an answer to their application. And you find that you can go through 2, 3, 4 appeals before you get anywhere, and each one seems to take longer and longer. I've had people coming to me who have been going through this process for 10 years, and in that time they've met family, they've had children, they've put roots down, and at that point it becomes very, very difficult to see how you can get a fair outcome for all concerned to the situation that is developed. So it is not an easy problem to deal with. It is one that needs to have a great deal of sensitivity given to it, but it also takes understanding from all people about how these situations develop. But the government does, on the immigration side of things, need to put resources into getting those decisions made firmly and quickly, so that everybody knows where they stand, because not doing so encourages more and more people to try and abuse the system.